few videos ago here on the channel, we discussed the Celtics potentially having a hidden gem in the form of new signing Josh Minott. But that was before he even stepped on the floor for your Boston Celtics. Now, we have 3 preseason games of evidence here that tell me that Josh Minott is looking like an absolute steal by Brad Stevens in free agency. A 2-year, $5 million deal? Oh my goodness, this is looking like highway robbery for your Boston Celtics. We're going to discuss his performances and what everybody's saying about number 8 in just a moment. But speaking of number 8, we're 8 days away from the Celtics regular season getting underway. Josh Minott days away from the C's regular season tipping off. And if you guys are fired up about it, if you are hyped for this new look Celtics team to get out there on the real floor, the real meaningful basketball floor, show me. Go down below, hit that thumbs up icon, like today's video. Look, in the box score, Josh Minott, I'd say, has been pretty solid for the most part. Nothing that's jumping off the screen entirely. Did have 16 points in the Celtics' dominant win over the Cleveland Cavaliers. But what really jumps out to me is that Josh Minott has been a net positive every single time he's been out there on the basketball court. Against the Memphis Grizzlies, a +8. Against the Toronto Raptors, a game the Celtics lost, he was a +15 in that game and then a +6 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Look, what we know about Josh Minott is he is physical. He is an athlete, so that's evident by the rebounding numbers there. I do put up the three-point attempts and makes there because that was obviously a drawback of Minott's game coming in, but I really do believe that he can kind of progress in that area and be at least a league average, low-volume three-point shooter here. 2 of 5 against Cleveland, 1 of 3 against Toronto. Look, if we're going 3 of 8, I'll take that every single time from Josh Minott because we know what he can do with the ball in his hands. Uber athlete, a human highlight film, and this windmill was just, I think, scratching the surface of what we're going to see from Josh Minott in TD Garden this season. Expect multiple Garden moments from him on the offensive end. And you know what actually generated this open windmill slam was Josh Minott jumping a passing lane, getting active, creating disruption, creating a turnover, and then getting points on the other end because of it. I think it's going to be something that we see very, very frequently throughout his tenure with the Celtics here this season and beyond. Minott said this about the TD Garden crowd that he got to experience for the first time. He said, "It was surreal. I feel like all across the league, fans aren't really at all these games or putting any importance on them. It's usually just scattered around people, diehard fans. But there, it's just like, man, the whole city, it seems like everybody is a diehard fan." Dude, I mean, it's absolutely awesome. And look, Josh Minott was talking about the TD Garden crowd, and he said that they might have to chill out a little bit because he was feeling unstoppable. He was feeling invincible out there. I mean, for a guy who is essentially on his last legs of his NBA career, right? Because he spent a few seasons in Minnesota, didn't really catch on into the rotation. Now he's here with the Celtics on a really cheap veteran minimum type of contract. And if he doesn't really shine here, then that could be the end of his NBA career. But now he's hungry. And I love that the TD Garden crowd is infusing him with this level of confidence that he can take onto the court this season and hopefully beyond. And look, he understands that this is a place where he is going to grow and a place where he must grow in order to remain in the NBA. And he said more about this experience with Boston here. He said, "I usually know why I'm coming out and just see it as a lesson every time. We're just learning. It's preseason. I understand that it's a lot of new people and it's trying to just instill that Celtics mentality for those of us that are new." Now, Joe Mazzulla has been kind of in a weird spot this upcoming season with how many new faces and how many new archetypes are on this team. So he's really experimenting with a lot of lineups here in the postseason, seeing what works before the regular season gets underway. And you know, it's crazy because Joe Mazzulla is a freak. He has a different way of being in a relationship with everybody out there on the court. And as far as his relationship with Minott goes, he said that even when he thinks he's playing hard, Joe Mazzulla makes him go out there and play even harder. So, he wants him to push the limits of what Josh Minott is able to do. And I think that's an awesome player to be able to have that mentality with because he's so freakish athletic. He's got such a high motor. He wants to get better that I think it's inevitable that we see that. Mazzulla has been subbing guys out here for a multitude of mistakes and reasons. That's what Minott was alluding to a little bit there. He's subbing guys out for allowing offensive rebounds or miscues on defense, being in the wrong spots. And that's what Minott is saying here. He's like, I'm still learning. I'm still getting in the groove here. And Mazzulla is kind of just letting us know that that's going to be the standard. The standard has to be execution all the time. And I love the confidence that Minott here is carrying with that. Now, show some love to him down in the comment section before we talk about what his new teammates had to say about him, because I think Josh Minott is going to be a real big rotation piece. We haven't really even talked about his defensive versatility yet, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. But before we do, go down below in the comment section, type his jersey number 8. Because Jaylen Brown said this about playing with Josh Minott. He said he's a long, athletic wing, and something that we could have used over the past years or so. Somebody high energy, super athletic. We need that. That defensive pressure, intensity. And he's been showing that he can knock down a shot and he can take a guy off the bounce as well. He's been great all training camp. He's been great all preseason. We're going to need him to be great all season long. And this is what Derrick White had to say about the whole situation. He definitely comes in with that excitement, that joy. And he's one of those guys that is excited for this opportunity. He comes in and he can definitely be a pest out there. Wants to keep getting better and show us what he can do. He can do a little bit of everything out there. Look, I know when we look at and judge NBA players in 2025, like we look at, can you get buckets? Like, can you affect the box score? Like, everybody's more so a box score watcher, a highlight watcher today than ever. But I really do believe that Josh Minott can contribute to winning basketball games, whether or not he puts in 15 points or whether or not he puts up 8 rebounds in a game. He's going to make winning plays day in and day out. We know the hunger that he has, crashing the offensive glass for rebounds, the hunger he has, jumping passing lanes to create turnovers, rising up for blocks at the rim as well. Like, all that stuff are intangible things. That is effort, that is energy, and look, he's got the frame. He's got 6'8", a damn near 7-foot wingspan. He can jump out of the gym. That stuff can only get you so far, though. What Josh Minott is going to do to separate himself here is the effort, is the IQ, being in the right spots, and just making winning plays and disruption at the end of the day. Because we know that's what Joe Mazzulla wants to do. Wants to speed it up, wants to run these hockey subs, and he wants to just create total chaos on the other end for the Boston Celtics defensively. Mazzulla said this on Minott. He said he has to keep that up, has to play hard, has to be able to rebound, has to be able to sprint the floor, has to crash, shoot the ball if he's open, has to defend at a high level. So you see all the stuff there that he said Josh Minott has to do. But you notice that he didn't say that he had to do anything as far as his offensive polish goes. So that stuff's going to all come in time for Minott. But the role that he's going to be playing for the Boston Celtics here is energy guy, is get out and transition guy, is honestly, when Mazzulla's talking about this new philosophy offensively of being super fast, the player that he's talking about the most is Josh Minott, like a guy that they haven't had with the ability to get out and transition fast and rise up above the rim over the past few years. Like, yeah, Tatum can do that. Yeah, Brown can do that. But they have so much else on their plate. Now we have a specialist in the athletic department that we can employ here in a lot of different situations. Now, this is interesting because as far as the offensive polish goes, the jumper does look a little wonky here. I mean, we're looking at forms here. This one in TD Garden, this one in the other game that they played a couple of days ago. But the reason that maybe he's not the most efficient three-point shooter is because this and this are not the best ways to be going about it here. I do think that they are fixable, and I want you guys to comment down below whose jumper you think this kind of resembles a little bit, because I think with a little bit of mechanical reworking, we can get it looking like a player that we saw previously with the Boston Celtics. Can we get it looking a little bit more like this Al Horford jumper right here? I mean, wouldn't it be a little bit better? Look, Minott's not going to be a player who is consistently taking guys off of the dribble or is sizing up defenders for pull-up jumpers beyond the arc. I don't even think he's going to do that much in the mid-range either, or on short corner jumpers or anything like that. So it's going to be mostly stationary stuff. Who's to say we can't get the form jumper looking like Al's, which was also mechanically reworked in Boston as he became a much better three-point shooter once he started wearing green. So it's absolutely possible. And with a coach like Joe Mazzulla, who relies on the three-pointer so much, I think he's going to get his staff working on Josh Minott's mechanics in that area, and we're going to see a much higher percentage as the season goes along. We'll talk about this guy, unfortunately, as we wrap up today's show in just a moment. First of all, I got to tell you guys about these awesome deals. Celtics hats still on sale over at chatsports.com/Celtics hats. This one with the retro looks cool. This one with the khaki is awesome as well, as fall is approaching. I love this one with the skyline in the back too, the flat brim. A lot of these with the rope and the flat brim, those are all in right now. Chatsports.com/Celtics hats to get yours today. That link is in the comment section and description of today's video. Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't like this at all. I don't like this one bit. But it's reality. Al Horford is a Golden State Warrior, and he just spoke on his departure from the Boston Celtics after signing a 2-year, roughly $11 million contract with a player option in the second year with the Golden State Warriors. And before we get into what Al said, he's going to play fantastically in Golden State. It makes me super upset that he's not going to be here anymore, but all the power to him. Go out there and get yourself a better opportunity to win a championship. And that was kind of the big reason why he left the Boston Celtics. Here's what he said. I think that where Boston was as a team, even though I called them my home and everything was there for me, they just weren't in a position to offer me the opportunity that I wanted. There were two things there. I think the financial part was a component, but more than that, it was the winning part of it, trying to contend for a championship. And I think that there's a lot of things up in the air. And it just felt like they weren't in that same vision, obviously, because JT getting hurt, that takes a big toll. So I think at that point, I really had, up until then, I was staying in Boston the whole time. So if JT doesn't get hurt, we don't lose Big Al, that makes me sad. That really makes me sad, man. It's an unfortunate situation, the unfortunate reality, but I would have loved to see Al Horford retire at Boston Celtics. I still do think it's possible, but that article that I just pulled that quote from did conclude with Al Horford saying that he wants the Golden State Warriors, or at least is hopeful that the Golden State Warriors are his last stop in the NBA. Can opt out of the player option next offseason. Maybe if he wants to go rejoin one more run with JT, JB, and the boys in Boston, he could do so, but doesn't look like that's all too likely at this point. Best wishes to Al. He's a champion. One of my favorite Celtics of all time. So super happy that he's going to be in a spot where he can go out there and probably have a better shot at winning the title this year, but it definitely hurts, especially considering the way that the Celtics front court looks like at this point. That will do it for today's edition of Celtics Today by Chat Sports. Give me a follow over on Twitter at Tyler J. Smith, 2 H's because the name's common, but I am not. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel as well, youtube.com/CelticsTV. We'll keep you with the latest and greatest on your season leading up to the regular season. 8 days away. Subscribe, turn notices on. We'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, let's go C's.